So the state of your finances is not forever. Okay, money comes in cycles. Money comes and goes. One day you could have thousands of dollars in your bank account, then something happens and you have no money in your bank account. It's basically a vicious cycle, to the point where I currently don't necessarily believe in financial freedom. We just rely on the grace of God to get us through every single day in regards to our finances. So I started working when I was 16 years old. Of course, my first paycheck that I ever got, I started working at Chuck E. Cheese. I think it was $181. And I thought that I was rich, of course, because I was 16 years old. I had no bills, so all the money was mine. So I was able to basically do whatever I wanted with the money. So I got a second job working at McDonald's. And so at one point I had 3 jobs. I was working at McDonald's, Marshall's, and Chuck E. Cheese. And I saved up $2,000 over the summer after I graduated from high school to move from Atlanta, where I was living, where I was born and raised, to Los Angeles. Now, after I got to Los Angeles, I realized that $2,000 is about $2 in Los Angeles currency. So I rented up money in about 3 weeks, or I think I got to like $500, and I was like, wow, I really have no money, because my plan was to get a job as a waitress, like working at Hooters. I thought I was going to be cute. Praise God, that did not work out. But yeah, so I ended up getting a job working at McDonald's. So for the first year of me living in Los Angeles, from August of 2018 to August of 2019, I was dead broke. I was living paycheck to paycheck, trying to pay for a room for rent that was $1,300. It was a mess. But then in July of 2019, I got a second job working at Kroger's. So at that point I had 2 jobs. And then in March of 2020, we all know what happened then. I didn't get to stay home. No, I didn't. I had to go to work, and I got overtime because I was working at a grocery store. And with me having 2 jobs, McDonald's and Kroger's, I went from living paycheck to paycheck along with working 2 jobs, a stimulus check, and my tax refund, to having $5,000 in my bank account. So after having about $5,000 in my bank account, I decided, you know what? I want a car and I want to learn how to drive, because I was taking the train everywhere, and I had to be to work at 5 o'clock in the morning sometimes, and taking the train at 5 o'clock in the morning in Los Angeles as a single young girl living by myself was not the move. And so I decided I'm gonna get a car. And within about a year of me having a car, and also about a year of me just like living and paying off my debts and stuff like that, that $5,000 was gone, and I was back to living off of credit cards, living paycheck to paycheck. On top of that, because I believe that moving states will solve all of your problems, I decided to move from Los Angeles to Texas. And of course, moving is so expensive. And so I ended up racking up a whole bunch of credit card debt and no longer had any money in my savings. So once I got to Texas, and I promise you this entire story has a point, I started working at LA Fitness, at gym, because I was in my gym girl phase. I don't know what I was thinking. But I think I was only getting paid like, $12 an hour. That was most definitely not enough money to cover the $1,300 in rent, along with my car payment and car insurance and groceries and things of that nature. So I eventually had to end up quitting that job, and I got a job working as a front desk receptionist, and I was getting paid about $20 an hour. And that was a really hard time, because I was still recovering from the move. I was still recovering from all the money that I spent on my credit cards when I wasn't making enough money working at LA Fitness. So that was a really hard time. So as you all know, I ended up getting fired from that job, and I got another job working in sales. The sales part was not very good because I was terrible at sales, so I barely made any money. But once I got transferred to HR recruiter, I started making a little bit more money. And at that point, last year, 2024, I was living good. Okay, money was good. Money was flowing. I had extra money left over. I was paying all of my bills on time, even felt comfortable enough to put a couple bills on auto pay. Life was good. And then what happened? I got fired from that job. So I had a little bit of a buffer, but I was unemployed, or am still unemployed, for about 4 months. So of course, all of that money is gone, and we're back to not having any money, living paycheck to paycheck again. So the point of me saying all of this is that the state of your finances is not permanent. Whether you have a bunch of money or whether you have no money, at any given time, you could lose your job, you could get in a car accident, you could go to the hospital, you could have any type of financial emergency to where everything that you have could be gone, or you could be really broke and you can get a great job and now you're back to being on top. So I just genuinely believe at this point that financial freedom comes with just knowledge of how to manage your finances. I don't ever believe that there is a set amount of money in your bank account. Of course, if you have like $10 million in your bank account, it's going to be a lot harder for you to fall off versus if you only have a couple $1,000s saved up. But I believe that the more money you have, the more problems you have, the more money you have on your payroll, and the more people you have on your payroll, I guess, the more money you have. Somebody could sue you. Like the phrase more money, more problems, I would know because I've never had $10 million in my bank account, but I just listening to stories of people who have a bunch of money, I truly believe that the more money you have, that doesn't absolve you from the possibility of going broke. It actually just causes a problem where you could fall harder from grace. Your financial journey is something that you will continue to be going through for the rest of your life. I have worked with people who used to be entrepreneurs and they were living really well, and then their business ended up failing and now they're back at a job. I have worked with people who worked very hard at their job and then, they get a breakthrough. Maybe their TikTok blew up, maybe their YouTube channel blew up, maybe their business blew up, and now they're no longer working and everything is going well. They have all the cars, all the money, practically everything that they can ask for. So at any given moment, the state of your finances could change for the better or for the worse. You could lose your job, you could get a job, you could come into a bunch of money, you could lose a bunch of money, and it could all happen within the span of 24 hours. So don't ever become complacent, but don't ever get discouraged either. So that's just the thoughts for today. But in the meantime, stay strong.